The evening was calm, and the lights of the city looked like shining stars on the streets. A long black car stopped in front of the most expensive restaurant in town, the Golden Wave. People standing outside turned their heads quickly. They all knew who was arriving. It was Mrs. Elena White, one of the richest women in the country. She stepped out of the car gracefully, wearing a simple but elegant white dress. Next to her was her 10-year-old son, Oliver, who held her hand with excitement. Everywhere she went, people stared. Some whispered, others took photos. Elena was used to all this attention, but today, she didn't care about fame. She was only there to spend a quiet evening with her son. Inside the restaurant, the manager rushed forward with a big smile. "Welcome, Mrs. White. Your table is ready." The waiters lined up, showing respect as if a queen had entered. Oliver looked around with wide eyes. "Wow, Mom. This place is amazing." Elena smiled softly. "Yes, sweetheart. This is the best restaurant in the city." But the smile on her face lasted only 2 seconds. As she took one step forward, she suddenly froze. Her eyes stopped on a small corner table near the back wall. The restaurant was full of rich businessmen, celebrities, and powerful people. But at that one small table sat a man who clearly didn't belong to this world of luxury. He was a black single dad, wearing an old jacket and holding a menu that looked too expensive for him. His daughter, a little girl around 7, sat beside him. She wore simple clothes, but her smile was bright, pure, and full of joy. She giggled while playing with a small paper flower. The father gently fixed her hair and whispered something that made her laugh even more. It was a sweet, warm moment. But Elena's heart began to shake. Her breath stopped. The soft music of the restaurant played in the background, but Elena heard nothing. Her mind was drifting far away, back to a life she never wanted to remember. She sat at her table with Oliver, but her eyes kept returning to the single dad in the corner. Each glance pulled her deeper into her past, like a hand dragging her into old memories she had locked away. Years ago, Elena was not rich. She was not famous. She was not respected. She was simply a scared young mother, lost in a world that seemed too dark for her to survive. Back then, she lived in a tiny room in a broken building. The walls leaked when it rained, and the nights were always cold. She had a baby in her arms and dreams in her heart, but no money, no job, and no one to help her. Her own family had abandoned her. The father of her child had disappeared before the baby was even born. Every morning, she would look at her baby and whisper, "I will protect you, even if the world doesn't protect me." But the world was cruel. One night, everything became worse. The landlord threw her out because she could not pay rent. She begged for one more day, but he slammed the door in her face. She stood in the freezing street, holding her crying baby against her chest. Her hands were numb, her legs weak, her heart breaking. She walked for hours, trying to find shelter. But every shop was closed, every door locked, every person uninterested. No one cared about a young single mother on the street. Her baby cried louder. "Hush, please don't cry. Mommy is here," she whispered, though tears ran down her own cheeks. That night, she stopped outside a small bakery. The smell of fresh bread filled the air. She sat on the cold ground, hugging her baby tightly. She felt helpless, broken, invisible. Then she heard footsteps. A man was walking toward the bakery door. A tall black man, wearing a simple work uniform, holding a small lunchbox. He stopped when he saw her. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. Those 3 words. No one had asked her that in months. She looked up, embarrassed. "Yes. I'm fine," she lied. But he noticed the baby wrapped in a thin cloth. He noticed her shaking hands. He noticed her empty eyes. "You're not fine," he said gently. "Let me help." She quickly shook her head. No. I don't want trouble. I just need a place to rest." The man looked at her with sympathy. "I work at this bakery.
My shift just ended. Come inside. It's warm. Elena hesitated. She didn't trust strangers. But her baby cried again, louder this time. She had no choice. With slow, scared steps, she followed him inside. The bakery was empty, quiet, and warm. The man placed a chair near the heater. Sit here. Your baby is freezing. He gave her a cup of warm water. Do you want something to eat? She shook her head again. I have no money. He smiled softly. I didn't ask for money. He warmed a small piece of bread and placed it on a plate in front of her. Tears filled her eyes, but she hid her face behind her baby. Thank you, she whispered. He asked nothing about her past, nothing about her troubles. He simply helped her. He gave her a blanket, sat across from her, and talked kindly. In that dark night, he was the only light. Before leaving, he told her, "You're stronger than you think. Don't give up." His words stayed in her heart forever. But the next morning, when she returned to thank him properly, he was gone. No name. No address. No trace. Just a memory. A memory now sitting in the same restaurant. Right in front of her. Her hands trembled. Her eyes went wide. The manager noticed her standing still. "Madam, is everything okay?" Elena didn't answer. Oliver pulled her hand. "Mom? Why are you looking there? Do you know that man?" Elena's lips parted, but no words came out. She felt like her past had suddenly walked into the room. She knew that face. She had seen it before. Long ago. In a very different life. A waiter whispered, "Madam, your table is waiting." But Elena wasn't listening. Her heart was beating fast, and her eyes stayed locked on the man. A memory flashed in her mind. But it was so quick, almost like lightning. A dark road. A crying baby. And a helping hand. The picture disappeared before she fully remembered it. Oliver followed her gaze again and asked softly, "Mom, who is he?" Elena swallowed hard. Her voice dropped to a whisper only she could hear. "It's him. I never thought I would see him again." But she didn't want her son to know yet. She forced a smile and said, "Nothing, Oliver. Let's go sit." She tried to walk forward, but her steps were slow, heavy, unsure. As they reached their table, Elena kept glancing back at the single dad. She noticed his food order. Just soup and bread. The cheapest items on the menu. He looked tired, maybe from work, but he still smiled for his daughter. Oliver leaned closer to his mother and whispered, "Mom, why do you look sad?" Elena wiped a small tear from her eye before Oliver could see it. Sometimes life surprises you in ways you can never imagine. Sometimes a face from your past reappears. To remind you of something you promised to never forget. Elena whispered to herself. Why tonight? Why now? She didn't know the full answer yet. But deep inside, she felt something powerful. This was not an accident. Life had brought this man back to her for a reason. And that reason was bigger than she understood. The waiter placed 2 menus on Elena and Oliver's table, but Elena didn't touch hers. She sat straight, her hands tightly folded, trying to control the storm inside her. Oliver, innocent and curious, kept staring at his mother's strange behavior. "Mom, are you sick?" he whispered. Elena forced a smile. "No, sweetheart. I'm okay." But she wasn't okay. Every time she glanced at the single dad in the corner, her heart trembled. That same man, the one who helped her in her darkest night, was now sitting only a few steps away. Life had brought him back. But why? After so many years? Oliver looked at the menu excitedly. "I want the big burger. It looks so cool." She nodded, but her mind was somewhere else completely.
Across the restaurant, the single dad, the same man from her past, was helping his daughter choose her meal. The little girl swung her legs happily under the table. She pointed at pictures on the kids' menu, asking her father what each dish was. He explained each food with patience, even though she could see the prices made him uncomfortable. Elena noticed the way he smiled at his daughter. The way he kept wiping her mouth gently. The way he tried to hide his tiredness. It was the same kindness he had shown years ago, simple, quiet, but powerful. A memory flashed again. Him placing that warm bread in front of her. Him giving her a blanket. Him telling her she was stronger than she believed. She blinked quickly. The past kept forcing its way into her heart. The waiter approached Elena again. "Madam, would you like to order?" She looked up suddenly, as if waking from a dream. "Oh, yes. Sorry. Give us a few more minutes." The waiter nodded and left politely. Oliver leaned forward. "Mom, why are you acting weird? You keep looking at that man. Do you know him or something?" Elena shook her head quickly. "No. I mean yes. I mean, it's complicated." Her voice cracked slightly. Oliver noticed. "He looks nice," Oliver said innocently. "He's smiling at his daughter a lot. Maybe he's a good dad." Elena felt her heart pinch. Yes, he was a good man. A good man who had nothing, yet gave everything. A good man who helped a stranger without expecting anything. She took a slow breath, trying to steady her emotions. Meanwhile, the single dad lifted his daughter onto his lap. The girl laughed loudly, attracting the attention of a few guests who looked annoyed. But her father didn't care. He hugged her with warmth, whispering something that made her smile even bigger. Elena couldn't stop watching. The restaurant staff wasn't treating him the same way they treated rich customers. Elena noticed it clearly. A waiter placed water on his table without a smile. Another waiter walked past and looked at his simple clothes with judgment. It reminded Elena of how people treated her in the past, like she didn't belong. Her chest tightened again. Oliver suddenly said, "Mom, he seems poor. Why is he in this expensive place?" Elena's eyes softened. "Because everyone deserves moments of happiness," she said gently. Oliver nodded slowly, understanding a little. The waiter returned to the single dad's table. "Sir, anything else besides the soup and bread?" The man shook his head quickly. "No, that's enough for us." Elena's heart sank. She knew. She knew he was choosing the cheapest items because he wanted to treat his daughter, but also because he couldn't afford more. A deep guilt washed over her. Back then, he helped her freely. And today, he could barely afford a simple meal. Oliver looked at her again. "Mom, you're crying." Elena touched her cheek and realized a tear had escaped. "I'm fine, baby," she whispered. "But sometimes, seeing someone can remind you of something important." Oliver tilted his head. "What did he remind you of?" Elena took a deep breath. "That kindness matters. Even when life is hard." She looked again at the man, this time with a decision forming inside her. She didn't know how or when. But she knew she had to do something. Tonight was not just a dinner. It was destiny knocking again. Elena sat at her table, pretending to study the menu, but her mind was miles away. She couldn't stop the flood of memories. Everything she had buried deep inside, every pain, every fear, every moment of survival, returned to her like waves crashing in a storm. She looked at Oliver's face, then back at the man in the corner. The man who changed her life, without ever knowing it. Her fingers trembled as she held her glass. She whispered softly to herself. "I need to remember everything, clearly, before I face him." And the memories opened completely. Years ago, the night that changed everything. After the bakery incident, Elena didn't sleep. She stayed awake in the warm corner, watching her baby rest peacefully for the first time in days. She kept thinking about the stranger, the man who helped her without judgment. At sunrise, she stepped outside, determined to thank him.
But he was gone.
The bakery workers said he had quit the previous night.
No one knew where he lived. No one even knew his full name. He was just someone who appeared for one moment and disappeared.
But his kindness stayed with her. That day, something changed inside her. For the first time in months, she felt hope. The journey of struggle. The next few months were the hardest of her life. She found a tiny room in a shelter for single mothers. The room had no bed, only a thin mattress. But it was a roof, and that was enough. She worked small jobs, cleaning floors, washing dishes, folding clothes. She walked long distances every day because she couldn't afford a bus ticket. Her hands cracked from washing chemicals. Her back hurt from carrying heavy boxes. She cried silently many nights. But every time she felt like giving up. She remembered that man's voice. "You're stronger than you think. Don't give up." Those words became her strength. She improved slowly. She learned new skills. She applied for better jobs. She saved money. She took night classes. Step by step, she climbed out of the darkness. Years passed. Her baby grew. Her skills improved. Her confidence returned. People started noticing her talent. She built a small business from her tiny room. At first, it was nothing, just handmade crafts she sold in markets. But her ideas were unique. People loved them. Her business grew. She hired workers. She opened a shop. Then a second shop. Then a third. Everything rose from nothing. Because of one night of kindness from a stranger. A stranger who believed in her when she believed in no one. The promise she made. The night she opened her very first store, she stood outside alone, looking at the signboard with her name on it. She whispered into the air. "If I ever find you again, even by accident, I will repay your kindness. I will help you the way you helped me." But years went by. She never found him. Eventually, she became successful beyond her dreams. She became richer than she ever imagined. People looked up to her. Business magazines praised her. Interviews called her the woman who built an empire. But she always remembered the truth. Without that stranger, none of this would exist. Return to present the full shock. Now, as she sat in the luxury restaurant, watching the single dad smile gently at his daughter, Elena knew the truth completely. He wasn't just a face from her past. He was the person who saved her life. The little girl laughed, and the man leaned closer to wipe her chin. He still had the same gentle eyes. The same peaceful smile. The same kindness. But he looked tired. Worn out. Like life had been heavy on him too. Elena felt her heart twist painfully. Oliver noticed her staring again. "Mom, why are you crying again?" She touched her cheek, another tear had escaped. "Because," she whispered. "Sometimes life brings back the person who changed everything, when you least expect it." Oliver blinked. "Changed everything? What do you mean?" Elena held his hand. "One day, I will tell you the full story." But there was one thing she knew for sure. Tonight, she would not let him walk away again. Not this time. Not after all these years. Tonight, she would repay her debt. Tonight, destiny would finally complete its circle, the moment that changes everything. Elena took a long breath, the kind of breath someone takes before doing something brave. Her heartbeat was loud, almost painful. She knew she could not sit at her table anymore. She had waited years to find that man again. And now fate placed him just a few steps away. She stood up slowly. Oliver looked confused. "Mom? Where are you going?" Elena placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "I need to speak to someone, sweetheart. Stay here. I won't be far."
Oliver nodded, watching her with curious eyes. Elena began walking toward the corner table. Each step felt heavy, like she was walking through her past. Her hands shook lightly, her breath unsteady. She didn't know what she would say. She didn't know how he would react. But she knew she had to do this. The single dad didn't notice her at first. He was fixing the little girl's napkin and helping her cut her bread in tiny pieces. The girl looked around the restaurant with excitement, enjoying every small moment. Elena stopped right in front of their table. "Excuse me," she said softly. The man looked up, surprised. His eyes were kind, just like she remembered, but also tired from years of carrying life alone. "Yes," he asked politely. Elena felt her throat tighten. For a second, she couldn't speak. I'm sorry to disturb you," she started. "I know this may sound strange. But, do you remember a night many years ago? A young woman with a baby outside a bakery?" The man blinked, confused. He looked carefully at her face, trying to recall. He shook his head slowly. "I'm sorry. I don't remember clearly. I've met many people outside that bakery." Elena's eyes softened. "That night, I was that woman." The man's eyes widened slightly. He looked stunned. Her clothes were different. Her life had changed. But something in her eyes made him pause. "You were her?" he asked. Elena nodded, tears forming. "Yes. You helped me. You saved me, actually. You let me inside the bakery, gave me food, gave my baby warmth, and you gave me hope when I had nothing." The man sat silently, absorbing her words. Finally, he exhaled slowly. "I remember now," he whispered. "You were freezing. And your baby wouldn't stop crying. I didn't do much. Anyone would have helped." "No," Elena said firmly. "No, not anyone. Many people saw me that night. No one stopped. You did." The man was quiet. He didn't know what to say. Elena looked at the little girl. "And this is your daughter?" He nodded proudly. "Yes. This is Maya." The girl smiled shyly at Elena. "Hello," she said softly. Elena's heart melted. The man asked, "But, why are you here? Why tell me this now?" Elena sat down slowly on the empty chair beside them. "Because," she said gently, "I owe you everything. My whole life changed after that night. Your kindness gave me strength to start again. And I promised myself, if life ever brought you back to me, I would help you the way you helped me." The man shook his head quickly. No. I didn't do anything big. You don't owe me anything." Elena smiled sadly. "You don't know how wrong you are." She waved her hand, and a waiter immediately approached her. "Madam?" "Bring the best meals on the menu to this table," she said calmly. "And make sure everything is taken care of." The man protested immediately. "No, please. This is too much." Elena raised her hand kindly. "Please. Just allow me." Before he could argue more, she continued. "After dinner, I want you to join me for a short talk. I have something important for you." The man looked confused. "Important? Why? I don't understand." Elena looked into his eyes, the same eyes that once gave her courage. "Because," she said softly, "tonight, I want to change your life the way you changed mine." The man stared at her, speechless. His daughter smiled, unaware of the miracle forming around her. Elena knew this was only the beginning. She hadn't revealed the unbelievable part yet. Not the offer. Not the gift. Not the life-changing plan she had prepared in her heart. But soon, very soon, his world would never be the same. A promise fulfilled, a life transformed. Dinner arrived at the table like a beautiful dream. Plate after plate, steak, pasta, grilled chicken, desserts, everything the restaurant was famous for. Maya's eyes sparkled like tiny stars. She kept whispering, "Daddy, look! Daddy, look," every time a new dish appeared. Her father, the man who once helped Elena during her darkest moment, sat frozen with shock. He had never seen so many expensive dishes at once. He kept repeating softly, "This is too much, far too much." But Elena gently placed a hand on the table. "Please. Tonight, don't think about money. Just enjoy this moment with your daughter." Maya happily dug into the food. The man watched her eat with pure joy in his eyes, joy mixed with disbelief. Oliver watched from Elena's table, smiling proudly, though still curious about everything happening. Elena noticed the man's trembling hands. "Are you okay?" she asked. He nodded awkwardly. "Yes. I never expected anything like this." Elena smiled softly. "I never expected to see you again either. Life has strange ways of bringing people together." When Maya finished her meal and went to pick a dessert from the buffet, with a waiter guiding her, Elena looked directly into the man's eyes. "What happened in your life after that night?" she asked gently. The man sighed deeply, the weight of years hidden in that single breath. "I raised Maya alone," he said quietly. "Her mother passed away when she was a baby. So it's just been the two of us. I work many jobs, cleaning, deliveries, bakery shifts, anything to keep her fed and in school." Elena's heart tightened. "I'm not complaining," he continued. "I love being her father. But life hasn't been easy. Some days I feel like I'm failing. She deserves more." Elena leaned closer. "You're not failing. You're doing more than most people ever would." He looked down, blinking away emotion. Before he could speak again, Maya returned with a chocolate cupcake, her face full of joy. Elena laughed softly at the sight. When Maya sat back down, Elena gently said, "Sweetheart, can I talk to your father for a moment? You can sit with my son, Oliver." Maya nodded and skipped to Oliver's table, where he showed her his comic book. Now it was just Elena and the man, two lives bound by one night long ago. Elena reached into her purse and pulled out a small envelope. "I want you to take this," she said. The man frowned. "What is it?" "Please. Open it." He slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a neatly folded document. His eyes scanned the papers. His lips parted. His hands shook. He stared at Elena, shocked. This is a job contract," he whispered. "A full-time management position? At your main company?" Elena nodded with a warm smile. "Yes. You said you worked in many small jobs. I need someone responsible, hardworking, and kind. Someone with heart. Someone like you." He shook his head, overwhelmed. "I don't have a degree. I don't have special skills. Why would you do this?" Elena's voice softened. "Because you helped me when no one else did. You gave me shelter, food, safety, and hope. You didn't ask for money. You didn't judge me. You saved me." She paused, eyes shining with emotion. "And now it's my turn. Your kindness built my future. Let me help build yours." Tears pooled in the man's eyes. "Elena! I can't accept this. It's too much." "No," she said gently. "It's not enough. You deserve more. Maya deserves more." He covered his face with his hands, trying to control his emotions. "For years, I prayed for a break. Something, anything, to help my daughter live better. I never imagined it would come like this." Elena placed a gentle hand on his arm. "Good people don't always get good things immediately. But life never forgets kindness." He looked at her with gratitude so deep, it left him speechless. Maya ran back excitedly. "Daddy! Look at the dessert I got."
He hugged her tightly, tears slipping down his face.
Elena stood up to leave. You two enjoy your night. A new chapter begins tomorrow.
As she walked away, hand in hand with Oliver, he whispered.
Thank you for everything. Elena smiled softly.
No, she whispered back.
Thank you, for saving me when you had nothing.
And in that moment, the circle of kindness finally closed.
With a promise fulfilled. A life transformed.
And a future forever changed.